Welcome back. Well, the building that we reside in is a community services building, and it is always very busy. And today I have Christine Spahr, who's the Resident Services Director, to give us an update on things that happened last year and what's to come this year. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me today.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
It sounds like you just have so many things going on, and I just can't imagine, because every time I walk by that building downstairs or the floor downstairs, it is just packed with people.
Yes, it is packed, and yes, we're providing really great service, and we've had some changes in 2017, and I think it's actually enhanced the resident service experience.
Okay, great. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you had happen last year.
Well, first thing that we've concentrated on in 2017 was customer service excellence. We wanted to make certain that our folks were trained and that they also have been cross-trained so that they know how to do their jobs and how to take care of every resident and each call. So we want to make certain that they're informed. Also, we expanded our hours of operation, so we're now open Monday through Friday from 7 to 6 p.m. and Saturday from 8 to 5. With that came the shifts to accommodate the workflow. And so we have people who start their jobs from 7 to 4, 8 to 5 o'clock, 9 to 5:30, and 8:30 to 5:30, and 9 to 6 o'clock. Okay. Increasing these shifts have also helped us to kind of accommodate that workflow, and that's because we don't really know when residents are going to be coming through and how we're going to staff up until it actually happens. So we want to make certain that we're prepared for those visits. Okay. We also now have field dispatch for our residents. So this way, the call doesn't have to be transferred. We're able to dispatch our plumbers and our maintenance crew on Saturdays as well. So that really helps us to move along the tickets a lot faster.
Oh, that's great.
We've also implemented the care provider policy, as well as introduced our new RFIDs, which is optional right now to the resident. And what this means is that if they have an RFID, they won't have to go through the line with the visitors. They'll be able to just come up to the gate. The gate will automatically open, allow them to come through, and then close again. So we're very excited about that technology. We also implemented department staff meetings. And so, because we wanted to improve communications. There's nothing worse than not knowing what each other is doing in this environment. We wanted to make certain that we had good communication between the other departments so that we could resolve any kind of process issues that we might have, or any possible rework, which means that we're touching the same pieces of information twice. And so it's how can we eliminate that and provide a much better service.
Okay, great, great. Now, I know that you just mentioned something very interesting where you talk about crossing over. We interview an awful lot of people from all different departments, so the RFIDs and things like that, we've heard so much about all of that. And I like the way that you've been saying that you've all been kind of working together, which is really important with such a huge community.
Yes, it is, and that's one of the, back in 2017, one of the residents' concerns is that our reps, perhaps our customer service reps, were not as informed as they should be. And so we touched on that continually. We have bi-weekly meetings. We attend the department meetings and bring those that need to be there with us. And then we make certain that they're cross-trained in order to be effective.
I see, I see. Okay, great. So what about in terms of contact? How does that work? Like people contacting you, approximately how many people do contact you?
We have almost 300,000 calls last year.
Wow.
And of those, almost 100,000 were resident calls into resident services.
I see.
That means maintenance, the plumbing calls. We also handle the cable calls as well for broadband. And we answered over 25,000 calls as well. Gate clearance is very popular.
Okay.
And although we do have Dwelling Live now, which I'd sort of like to sort of bring to our residents, and that's that they can now go online and also bring their guests in without even having to call the call center.
Right.
Last year we answered over 100,000 calls.
Just personal phone
Just
calls.
personal phone calls
Oh my gosh.
on gate clearance.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Also, we have internal calls. We have inbound and we have outbound calls. And that would mean to us that if we receive any voicemails or any emails, then we call back a resident in order to either get more information or to let them know that we're in the process of taking care of their request.
Right.
So as you can see by the summary of
chart,
2017, the chart, we're very, very busy.
Yes, you are.
And it just does keep us on track, however, and make certain that we can give our residents what they actually need in their services.
Now let's take a look at the chart just for a moment. So you took almost 300,000 contact calls, and then you have them divided up. Let's talk a little bit about the Dwelling Live. I do that in my community, and so you're able to make a phone call, or is it an online thing?
Yes, it is. They can go online,
Okay.
and Dwelling Live is soon to be the very first option that they have when they go into the web.
Okay.
In order to actually book their own residence in.
Okay.
Which automatically goes into the system, and it allows for a very smooth entrance for any guests.
Okay, great. Well, I love it, and it is very easy. And you can put permanent guests on there too. So if you have, family members that come often, that will be provided too.
That's correct.
Oh, that's great. Okay. All right, super. What else do you have? You have some planning of different spaces that you're going to be doing?
Well, we will be remodeling the resident service area. And that's because right now it is not user-friendly to our resident as well as to our employees.
Okay.
And to do that, we will be moving Alterations, who has a very large number of persons coming in to see them, to another area still on the first floor, as well as the mailroom will be slightly remodeled, and the resident services will be modeled so this way we have a very good placement for the front counter, as well as our call center reps, who are now 2 and 3 people in one cubicle, will be able to have their isolated cubicles so that they can provide better service without any distractions.
Okay.
We're also planning on the temporary location for resident services during this time, and we'll be, during the remodel, we'll be moving up to the 3rd floor.
Oh,
and we
you're
will
joining us.
Yes, I am. And we'll make it very accessible for our residents, and hopefully make a very smooth transition.
Right. Well, I think that'll be easier said than done in some cases, right? However, if they show up on the first floor, they're going to notice that that there's construction. But one thing that I think we've talked to Chuck a couple different times about is, broadband services. People come into our office, they're like, "Oh, hey, I've got my box." Well, no, that's on the first floor, and you have to go to window number 9. So we've been so used to saying window number 9.
Well, it was originally on the 3rd floor.
Oh, right.
Which at that time was a very big inconvenience for our residents.
Okay.
And so we moved the Alterations CSR down, not Alterations, excuse me, the broadband person down to our area. And yes, you're right, they're at window number 9. And this saves the resident a number of steps.
Right.
And they don't have to worry about carrying the equipment if they're turning something in.
Well, exactly. So how long do you think the remodel will be?
Probably 6 to 8 weeks.
So not too
once
bad.
started, and right now the plan is we are going out to RFP, so this way we can be competitive.
Okay.
In the vendor market, as well as our architects have already been involved, and we have our project manager assigned.
Great.
By Ernesto, so we're very excited.
Good. Well, it sounds like you're making some good progress.
Yes, we are.
Good. All right. What else do you have?
Well, let's see. Let's talk a little bit about the workplace.
Okay.
And what is the greater goal of becoming an employer of choice? And that's every company is trying to help to defray, the attrition.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can have 25% of your employees just sort of transitioning out. Resident services is very popular in this organization, and that's because we train our reps to be very good at what they do. And so at times, we have other departments that are very interested in moving our persons over to their environment.
Okay.
And so we're constantly rehiring and training so that the next person that's going to take that move, who knows all about resident services and residents, can be effective. We've improved efficiencies and productivity. We've addressed employee health issues by taking proactive measurements. For example, instead of waiting for there to be a problem ergonomically, we are assessing ergonomics to begin with. So we make certain that when an employee comes on board, that they have all the tools that they need in order to be effective and able to do their job.
That's great.
We also want to improve staff morale. And so we want to make certain that people are comfortable during their day and that they are in a very pleasant environment.
Right.
And so you may notice that we have quite a few decorations downstairs, not only for our residents but also for our employees. So this way we feel comfortable, it's warm, it's friendly, and it's inviting.
Every time there is a holiday, I want to steal all those decorations in the front because they're always so good.
Well,
the
thank
spring
you.
and then the Valentine's Day. So far, good job.
Thank you very much. We have a very special employee in resident services who has that technique for making things absolutely beautiful.
Nice. Well, it always looks good.
She does a really, really great job.
She does.
So thank you for noticing.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So what's coming up?
Well, what we're going to do is be changing our broadband customer service.
Okay.
What we find is that we really do need to have more of a specialty for technical support.
Okay.
Because we want to be able to dedicate the full amount of time that it takes in order to resolve issues over the telephone. So we're going to be introducing a technical support agent. And that will come out from the call center or the contact center. They'll be able to take a look at the box trouble, TV programming, remote programming, self-install questions of any type, and any connectivity type of issues. And they will be the ones that determine if a truck is going to be rolled or not. And that's because we want to be able to get the resident to have their service just as quickly as possible. So if we can all avoid sending a truck because we can work through the issues over the telephone, then that's what, that's what we want to do.
I wanted to clarify that because so if somebody was to call and maybe whoever was answering the phone couldn't answer that question, then it would go to this technical person?
That's correct.
I see. Okay. And then that person would make a determination as to whether or not somebody needs to go out.
Right. Or they'll work through the call just a little bit more and see if there's anything that they can do in order to work with the resident before sending out a truck.
Perfect.
So this way they get service quicker.
Absolutely.
Than having to wait.
Okay.
We will, on the other side of it, the call center will still continue to do what we do, and that is to process and set up the payments, update the resident information, answer any general information or billing questions, add and cancel services, transfer, create new accounts, or even schedule installs and box pickups. So it's not, that's only isolated to when a tech service is actually required.
Okay.
And the good news is that the contact center has been doing that, just that it takes a little bit longer for that type of call. So it makes it difficult to handle other calls that are coming in while we're in tech support. So this should be able to streamline it and provide much faster service.
Sounds good. Sounds great. Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. And then, so when there's a lot of seats in the waiting room, and I don't know if you take a number or however that works. Tell me how the check-in process works.
Well, currently we have 4 lines. One for alterations, one for broadband, one for residential services, and then one for the welcome center, which is for the leasing and the IDs of the new residents that are coming on board. As when a person comes in, they look at the signs and they determine which line they're going to go into. Different than last year where they were standing, they can now sit and wait for an agent to call them. that first frees up in that particular designated area.
Okay.
We're going to be changing that effective May 1st, and we're going to have a much more improved check-in process. And there won't be any lines.
Oh, great.
Okay, they won't be sitting in a line.
Oh.
What we'll be doing is taking information at the front of the concierge desk of who the person is, what's their manner or their unit number, and then we'll take information as to and what is it that they would like us to serve them with today. And that particular information will go to whatever area they want to be serviced at.
Okay.
Now, we'll also have a kiosk in the future, so this way if they would like to input the data themselves, they can.
Oh, that's great.
But what the issue, what the really great piece of this is that they'll be able to come in, sit wherever they want, kick back, have a cookie and some water, and wait for their name to be called in the order that they were actually received.
Okay.
And each area actually receives a pop-up that says this is the next person to be taken care of.
Kind of seems like a doctor's office waiting, where you have a little kiosk, or you can go to the front, and then they have a little screen that you can look at. Will they be able to see something, or not really?
Not this time around, but possibly when we remodel downstairs.
Okay.
We'll do that. But this is like the pilot program. We want to make certain that it works effectively before going in that direction, and make certain that the resident is happy with the services that we're providing.
Great. Well, it sounds awesome. It's excellent.
Well, thank you. We're very excited about this.
Well, yeah, I mean, you did so much last year, and now you're doing more things this year. And I don't think there's any more room for them to build any more buildings in the area, but there's so many residents. It's such a large community. So you definitely have your hands full.
Well, we're definitely blessed.
Yeah. And
to have all of our wonderful residents.
Oh, yeah.
And I just truly enjoy working with the residents on the property, because they're pretty fantastic people. And so are our employees.
Well, I hear you. I have learned so much about so many people here that live in the community, and then getting to know all the employees too as well, including yourself.
Well, thank you.
So thank you so much for being with us today. And I know there's a phone number that we can give out, so if you all have any questions about resident services, the phone number is 949-597-4600. So if anyone has a question or about anything you've talked about today, they can call that number.
Absolutely. We're here for you.
All right, great.
Thank you so very much.
And you've heard it here straight from Christine Spahr. So if you want to visit her down in the first floor right now at Resident Services, you can do that. We'll be right back after this.